Good evening. We're live. I hope you can see me. I've been told I'm a bit pixelated this evening, but thanks for joining us. I'm Mike at Avocado Property HQ, looking after Ian's whiteboard while he's away, so it is safe. Ian, I haven't thrown it away. Don't worry. Joining me this evening, very confusingly, we've got Mike Robinson. To my Mike Robson, specialist in Crowthorne, Finchampstead and Sandhurst. He's not in witness protection. He's just keeping the lights down low to keep the heat out. We've got Matt Farrell. Matt is the Reading agent. Matt looks after Central South Reading and into the Wokingham districts from that angle. And we've got Matt Pulford, Mr. Wokingham, as he's well known in our parts. Matt's a born and bred Wokingham man. So we're here to talk Wokingham property market. And we've got three topics, as there were on all the social posts, to talk about. So, gents, how are we this evening?
Very well.
Very good.
Good. Hot.
Very good. Hot. It's nice to be
No
working
air conditioning in witness protection.
It might be cool where you are, Mike. You could be anywhere. What do you know? So, first topic that we've put on our agenda, and if you are tuning in, if you are watching, just like Rob is watching, if you have a question for us this evening, live, pop it on the feed. We will read it out. We will answer. We will do what we can. Ian's watching just to make sure I'm looking after his flip chart. If you are watching, please do comment. Please do question. We'll do our best to answer the questions. If you're watching after the event, please still do comment and we'll do our best to come back to you. But first topic of the evening, gents, in-demand areas. We're obviously working across the Wokingham district and into Reading here, that we're talking about. Could you be living in one? Let's talk about the most in-demand areas. Where are they and why? I would like to know. Matt, kick us off.
Me, Matt, not the other Matt.
Well, I'll leave that to you.
Because it's the Wokingham property chat. I won't say.
Oh, good. Love that delegation. That's brilliant. So, in demand areas specifically in Wokingham, then. So, very much there's a lot of drive for people to find a property within about 1.5 miles of Wokingham town centre at the moment. So you get something that's within that sort of catchment there, all over it. There's a huge demand for the bigger, more family home area, and I've seen that. I'm speaking to a lot of people that are coming out of Wokingham, so your Lower Early, Spencer's Wood, Early, even Crowthorne, Finchampstead, that are really trying to get themselves back into Wokingham because of all the regeneration work that's happened over the past couple of years. And it's your family homes, so your bigger 3 bedrooms, your 4-bedroom homes, and even sometimes 5 beds. And price ranges are very different. So anywhere from sort of 600 up to $1 million, really, on price ranges in the Wokingham patches where most buyers are looking at the moment. It's interesting. I've got a few houses on at the moment which are sort of sitting at sort of anywhere between sort of 600,000 and 800,000. And the conversation I have with most of the buyers through the door is, why is there so little on the market at that level? And it's quite nice because I've got them all, so it's good, so I can buy this. But it is a bit of a challenge out there, and that is the real specifics. So something that someone can add a little bit of value to is a big thing at the moment. The opportunity that they can grow into it over time is always a nice thing. But certainly Wokingham Centre, 1.5 miles away from town, is where the money's at the moment.
So the leisure centre is due to open. Is it this week? Next week?
It's very soon. I drove past it the other day. They got all the scaffolding bits down now, so it looks mega.
Front looks
Obviously,
really nice. I drove past it earlier.
Yeah,
Elmsfield is pretty much complete as well. Is that having an effect on decisions that people are making? Because Wokingham Town Centre has always been a very social place. I spent my formative years in my 20s in Wokingham Town Centres of a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night.
Only the 4 out of 7, yeah.
Well, you've got to have a day off. Is there a bit of a renaissance, a bit of a change in the town that's bringing people back to the town centre now?
Yeah, I think over. I mean, you certainly, but me also would have noticed that Wokingham over certainly the last 3 or 4 years has had a real cultural change based on the demographic of buyer that's been looking to not buyer but family part. There was never really too many open green spaces for kids to go and play in the town centre per se. There was never the play parks like Elm Fields got now. It wasn't you wouldn't think to drive down there or walk down there and go and sit and go and have a coffee and watch kids play in a park or do bits and pieces. It just wouldn't have happened as much. And certainly, you look at some of the more social events that are happening over in, say, Peach Place, over by where like Leafy Elephant is, and Sit and Sip and the bars around there. They often have like music going on later on in the afternoon, and it's a real buzzy, vibey place now for very different types of people. So you've got your younger, more enjoy the nightlife part, which enjoy the going out going out in an evening. But then the family part of it is amazing as well. So do you know what? They've done a really, really, really good job of trying to invite lots of people into that area based on demographic. It works really very well, I think.
Yeah, I've got to say, it's probably since lockdown, I've noticed that any public event in Wokingham, the carnivals and that kind of thing, and the Mayfairs, other things, the attendance has just been off the scale.
Have you seen how many people were outside? You see how many people were outside on Elms Field a couple of weeks ago having like the big. I can't remember what was on. It's huge. There were so many people there.
Drone shots were just like something out of Glastonbury.
Yeah, had the big tent up as well, didn't they? With like Calvin Harris playing or something.
Yeah, the North Stage or something. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Just crazy.
Colin Harris live in Wokingham.
Live in Wokingham. Yeah.
Elms Field is going to be the destination. Give it a couple of years, you watch.
No, I can't.
So Matt, Wokingham Town Centre. Well, everywhere's hot. I was about to say Wokingham Town Centre's hot. Everywhere's hot at the moment, but in a literal sense. Mike, what about south of the area in Wokingham? Sorry, in Crowthorne, Finchampstead, Sandhurst. Are you seeing anywhere where people just feel like they have to be for a specific reason?
I think you've always had, certainly with kind of Crowthorne, the draws, well, Finch, to be honest, as well, kind of tying together. I think you've always had the ties of the schools have been like the main pull for a lot of people, but Crowthorne specifically, there's been a lot of black and white over Edgebarrow catchment, but not specifically just the catchment, like want to be walking distance, and they're happy to pay a premium for that luxury, in terms of size, condition of house, just want to make sure they're firmly in the catchment, kids can walk to school. And it's, like Matt was saying, the prices are just going bonkers, in terms of what people are actually happy to part ways with, even when, mortgage rates are climbing up that little bit. It's kind of like, half a mile from one to the other, and the difference in price for something of a similar ilk of property is just crazy, isn't it? In terms of the kind of what they offer and what they cover close to schools, all that sort of stuff. And I guess anything that's near to the high
community in Crowthorne as well. There was the Crowthorne Carnival, I believe it was, last weekend.
It was indeed. Yeah, that was good.
Youngsters walking down the high street waving avocado flags.
Yeah, they certainly were. That's just us wanting to get it out there, and what better way to have the avocado flag, inverted commas, being waved by the kids. It was perfect. But again, the carnival was packed. It was really, really busy. Like we were saying, with everything going on in Wokingham, it's that ripple effect, isn't it? Once one hub becomes popular and busy, everything else around it then becomes that bit busier and more popular. Not that Crowthorne hasn't ever been, but it was a crazy turnout, really was, and awesome to see the banners everywhere as well. Yeah,
it was something I was not expecting to see.
Little surprise
on the Facebook feed. It was very welcome and well done to those kids that did that. If there's anyone from their school watching, that was awesome, and the creativity and the craft that went into it was something pretty special. So. Yeah, so we're talking village and town centres this evening. Then, if people want to tip on where the demand is right now, it's access into those community hubs. So, big topic at the moment, other than Conservative Party MPs tearing each other down for a chance of power, The other big topic is interest rates, and particularly, obviously, mortgage rates on the rise. My personal mortgage broker says it's temporary. He's convinced of it. He's saying short-term mortgages, tracker rate mortgages, because this is a temporary peak in interest rates. That's his prediction. No one can tell the future, and it's certainly not financial advice from me, but that was the chat I had with him earlier this week when I was talking about remortgaging for either 2 or 5 years. He's putting his money on go short term because interest rates will fall again. But we've seen interest rates for the mortgages at the higher end. So if you've got 40% deposit, go from around about 1% up to about 3%. So the interest rate has tripled, but Matt's done some numbers for us. Matt Farrell has done some numbers.
Yeah, the other way.
So you may have seen Avocado put out some interest rate comparisons with the July rates we have now and the March rates we had in March. So I've just used the average house price of, 700, and I put 7,275. Sorry, that's the average house price, right? Give or take. With 10% deposit.
Yeah.
So with a 10% deposit in March, you were looking at an interest rate of 1.75. And in July, that interest rate is now 3.15. So what's that? 1.35% in a few months. To put that in monetary,
it's a big increase anyway you cut the cake.
Yeah. So to put that into monetary terms, that mortgage in March would have cost you £1,020 a month, and then it would now cost you about £1,200, 1194. So almost £200 more for the same house price with the same deposit. Just the interest rate is different. Did I explain that very well? I feel like I didn't, but I hope
you did. Don't worry, we're all with you.
The headline numbers being you'll pay between £200 and £300 a month more if you buy a house now compared to if you had the DeLorean and went back 6 months to buy the same house, based on the fact of the interest rates that are available to you. You put a good argument together on, I think, your TikTok channel, which, if you've got a sense of humour, people out there, I'd thoroughly recommend following Matt's TikTok channel. It's borderline professional, but it's borderline fun too. Your argument on there is there's loads of people who are waiting for a housing market crash or interest rates to come back down. Should they be waiting to buy a house, Matt?
No. So the cost of your mortgage is more important than the price of your house. It's better to have a cheap mortgage and pay more for the house than to pay less for the house and pay more for the mortgage.
So if the reverse happens in 2 years' time, house prices drop by 25 grand, 50 grand each, and interest rates also drop, but interest rates go up instead of down from there, what happens?
If you're sat on the sidelines and you're renting, for example, I've spoken to people who are renting, they're waiting for prices to come down. Do the maths and figure out how much you're going to spend on rent and play out the two scenarios of interest rates going up or down. And I can guarantee you'll be better off buying a house now rather than waiting 2 years.
Yeah, I think there's also a bigger thing to add into that from people that are paying rent on such properties at the moment. Rent at the moment specifically is 20 to 30% higher than it would have been 2 years ago. Yeah, Mark, can you probably agree with that?
Yeah, I was going to say the one thing rising faster than house prices is rent.
It's rent. So exactly.
Unfortunately, for the majority.
If you've got a 4-bedroom house, what, you look at a couple of grand a month, roughly.
Yeah, especially in Wokingham district. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you need to be fortunate to have 10% put down at least on a mortgage. But if you're looking at spending a significant amount of money, why would you? And I'm going to get ridiculed by landlords here, but why would you want to pay someone else's mortgage and you could be paying your own? And if you factor in the cost that it's going to take you to pay back so if you think I'm going to wait a couple of years, 2 grand a month, £24,000 your first year, £48,000 your second year, is property going to drop by £48,000 for you to make that difference back up? No, it's not going to happen. And plus, if interest rates go up, and plus you're then paying off your own mortgage at the same time, so you can also look at the variable that you're paying, let's say £1,000 off your mortgage every month at the same time. So you add £24,000 on to the £48,000 that you lost, and suddenly you're at 60 grand. Properties aren't going to reduce that low.
Yeah,
It's like the multiples on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That was.
Yeah. Quick maths.
He was desperate to get that into tonight's chat. He's been working it all day. He's been
No. That was
spot on now.
That was
spot on.
man's not hot. Quick maths. That's right, isn't it?
No, it is right, and it is very true as well. It is very true. I mean, and the thing is as well, and I think that anyone that's out there waiting for market to drop but wants to move, is motivated to move, the market is still going to be regardlessly busy in the next few years. There's a demand for housing, so all that time you're actually waiting, just because you think it's going to drop, you might actually miss out on your dream house or a house you'd be really interested in buying. And let's face it, most people are looking for something very specific at the moment. If they're on the fence, definitely about waiting for house prices to drop to make a move. They're obviously waiting because they're either going to make a big move or it's going to be big financially for them. So they're probably going to be fairly specific about the house. I think it's fair to say. I mean, we've seen that with people looking at nice big 4 or 5 bed detaches. Going back to what you were saying, Matt, they're not around at the moment, and they're not going to be suddenly flooding onto the market in the next couple of years. So actually, you're only doing yourself out of potentially a house that could have been perfect, only purely because you're waiting for mortgages to potentially go down, and that's a complete gamble.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at that level, you're looking at a long-term house, aren't you? So you've got to take that in mind. I think the big topic right now is the next topic, which is asking prices. We've said, are you on the fence about moving? Are interest rates right for you? Now, asking prices. 2 parts to this question, this topic. Why are they so confusing? Let's list a few different types of asking price. Guide price, offers in excess of, reductions. What does it all mean? Why is it so confusing that some houses are launched at 900? And I've got a brilliant Chrome add-on for Google Chrome that you can track asking prices on Rightmove, which I shared with everyone this week, and a few people's heads fell off.
Game changer.
A house launched at 950, which went down to 9, which went down to 850, which went down to 825, and still on the market. What on earth's going on with asking prices? And how do they value up? How are people getting mortgages at this level?
I think that's the biggest question, Mike, because there's two different ways of looking at this as well. I mean, you look at your first impression when you go online is the most important impression you make. And I remember going back years and years ago. I had my first boss, and I remember walking. I'm not putting shoes into a context of a house just before I explain this, but I remember when I walked in on my probably second day in the job as working in an estate agency, and my boss said to me, "You need to clean your shoes, because when you meet your first client, they're going to be judging you instantly on your first impression." It's no different to how a property is presented now. Buyers and sellers out there know what properties are worth because there's all the data available to them online now. And you don't get that first impression right, you sit on the market for 2 or 3 weeks, you suddenly have a reduction next to your name on that. People are automatically going to be assuming or making an assumption on what's wrong with it. Yeah. So you have to get that headline price right first. We're seeing, and I know all of us are seeing, massive disparity on when we go out and value properties where people get 2 or 3, 4 different valuations at the moment. Generally, we tend to be the more cautious valuer agent, I feel, but based on statistic, we sell more than anyone else does. You look at the other agents that are out there deliberately valuing properties higher because they're targeting to hit a certain amount of KPIs every month to be able to bring to make sure their bosses are happy. The challenge with that is that, and let's say you fluke one at a higher price, mortgage valuers won't value that up if you're putting down 15 to 20% down on it, because there's nothing to substantiate it in a road that proves that value is right. So you're kidding the system. it'd be much easier to get it out there at the right price, sell it within a period of time, but know that the mortgage process will go through. Because I don't know many people, if you look at a 4-bedroom house that's £750,000 that have got that in cash sitting around to buy a house. Everyone's going to be generating a mortgage of some description.
Okay, so 2 things. Everyone knows I like an avo stat. Last month, we sold 92.5% of the properties that we listed. So that's the percentage of houses coming on the market and those that go under offer. So Avocado property sold 92.5% of the property that it listed, and our average sale achievement is over 99%. So I'm backing up your stat there, Matt. Second thing, I'd like one of the panel to explain what a mortgage val is. Do some jargon busting for me.
Go on,
So
Matt.
a mortgage val, a mortgage valuation, or a mortgage survey, whatever it might be called, is the mortgage company, the bank who's going to give the loan for the house, sending someone out to look at the house physically and check that it is what they say it is, what they think it is, and that the value is what they deem it to be in terms of the price that's agreed.
How do they get to the number, and why? The big point from my point of view is that they are doing that on the bank's behalf. No one
Yes.
else is. So they're looking after the bank's interest, because the bank is putting down, in most cases, the majority of the value of that property. But how do they get to the number? Why are they valuing it, and how do they get to that value?
So it's all about risk, isn't it, with the bank? So the bigger the loan they're giving on the house, the more certain they want to be that they're not going to lose money on that house. So to take an extreme example, a 95% mortgage, there's only 5% of the owner's money going into it. 95% is the bank's money. So they send somebody out to make absolutely sure that that 95% loan is secured against a decent asset.
Mhm.
Is that a fair explanation?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The bank's at the biggest risk, isn't it? If they're giving 90%, 95% of the value, so they need to be ultra careful that you're not overpaying for a property, because if you come to sell it in 6 months' time because something happens, divorce or change of circumstance, then they're going to need to get their money back on it. So they don't want to see any kind of loss on it. Good point that's come in from one of our partners, Sean, about asking prices and what people call them. Every property should be on for a marketing price, because frankly, that's exactly what it is. It's a marketing price. It's an invitation for you to be interested. Totally agree with you, Sean. If you ever see a property that's advertised offers in excess of, there's absolutely nothing stopping you doing your own independent research, deciding it's worth absolutely nowhere near that amount of money and putting an offer in. So again, it's just
ridiculous. It's something we get asked so much, isn't it? What does that mean? Does that mean I can't offer that? Does that mean I can't go and view it? What does that mean? There's too much confusion about what they actually mean. Ultimately, they don't mean anything. You could literally write any word next to the number. People are looking at the number. Let's face it. You go into a supermarket, if it had guide price next to some jam or asking price, you'd still know you'd look at the number, wouldn't you? It's just how the human mind works. We look at the digits, but it creates the confusion. And like you said, Matt, legally we have to put all offers forward anyway. So why even bother messing around with the offers in excess of, and actually maybe deter someone who might actually be the right buyer, but never actually saw it because they were confused about what the asking price, guide price, offers in excess of meant. Actually, maybe it deters people. I know it does for people that don't know about it. Because when you don't know something, you go, I'll just leave it. I don't want to have to call the estate agent and ask what happens now.
And good news on that point. In the last fortnight, Rightmove have banned price on application.
Yes. The worst. The worst.
Like you said, if you have to ring up to ask, it's going to put off half the people who were interested in it in the first place. As I understand it, price on application as part of clarity to customers has been axed from the main portals, and good riddance to it. I think
it was so bad. It's when they get changed to price on application after they get reduced, and you're okay, well, that gives me no confidence. It's obviously been reduced, but now I don't know the price at all.
Reduced, but still priced on application.
Yeah, reduced, but if you want to know it, you have to ring us.
You have to ring us, yeah.
What?
You answer the phone like, so how much do you want to pay?
Yeah. Yeah, where's the application form? Oh, right, I don't need a form. Can I just know how much it is? It's just ridiculous.
So hopefully, for the rest of our careers, we've seen the back of that horrendous phrase. If only we could see the back of a couple of others as well, we could be happier chappies than we already are. Because I'm sure we are. Gents, what's happening this weekend from listings? Matt, you've been at somewhere pretty special this afternoon, or this morning, or this afternoon, as it was on your live.
Lovely.
Yeah. So I've got a very busy weekend. Feel like I need to get my diary out just to remind myself what's going on. So so I've got some really beautiful houses on the market at the moment. So I've done a number of viewings at Meadow Road. Still got a couple more to do there, but I expect that to be snapped up in the next couple of days. I've got Miles Way, which listed start of this week. I've got 3 or 4 people seeing that in the next couple of days. I've got Wayside in Winnersh, which has come back to the market, unfortunately, but I had a change of heart, more personal than anything else. But I've got 6 viewings there now on Sunday afternoon. Westcott Road in Town Centre, I've got a few viewings there. It's just, and then also the one in Spencer's Wood, which will be going live in the next couple of weeks, which is absolutely, and I get ridiculed by this from my mates, but apparently I say gorgeous and amazing far too much.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
A lot of
So
gorgeous.
I need to read the dictionary.
It's got a slight Craig Revel Hallwood twist. Gorgeous.
And you do get a lot of absolutes in there, but we love it.
Yeah, I do. It's almost a little bit too much. So I need to try and articulate myself. But it's Wokingham is pumping at the moment. There's lots of really good things going on, and there's a lot of really lovely properties coming onto the market as well, which I know there's a lot of interest for, which is great.
Mike, the most hits on the Avocado website came into Will and Mike's page last month. That must mean something big's about to happen on your listings. Tell us a secret that anyone, the 10 people who are still watching after 28 minutes, tell them a secret.
Oh, secrets. There's a couple of irons in the fire, but they are so secret that the fire has not been yet lit. But there's a couple of nice corkers going on very, very soon. We've had a good week of some really nice ones coming on. You may have seen that bungalow that came on New Wokingham Road going back to the weekend. That's gone crazy, as we thought. I'm literally there most of Saturday, still with inquiries coming in. So I'm thinking that's probably going to go. So that is pretty much my Saturday, back to back. Oh, and I'm helping Dan and Neil in the morning because they're obviously away. It's there's a lot going on. Will's actually just taken something on, but I don't know a huge amount about it. But that is typical Will.
Well, it looks like you're gonna have to follow the Facebook page if you want to know about the next 5 instructions. And Matt, last but not least, where are you this weekend?
I'll be in Woodley this weekend. Open house on my listing in Woodley. I've got 16 through the door throughout Saturday, so that'll keep me busy.
If anyone wants to buy a house with an orchard, no less, don't get to say that too often.
It's pretty cool.
Is there an auction? Is there an orchard button that you can tick to tick it over?
There's not an orchard button. Maybe there should be.
Orchard button, but if you want to buy a house with an orchard, it's not even that expensive, is it? How much is this house with an orchard?
It's $650.
$650. Free apples and pears for life.
So go on my Facebook page if you're curious. If the word orchard has perked your ears up, go to my Facebook page, check out the video, and then maybe you can see it
on that niche moment. If you like orchards, check out Matt's Facebook page. Not a sentence I thought would go anywhere. To everyone who is watching and has watched, thank you for watching, gents. Matt, and Mike, thank you for joining me. As I said earlier, if anyone has any questions following our broadcast, please do pop them on any of these links. We will come back to you. Be more than happy to answer any questions. And until then, I do believe it'll be joined by everyone this time next week. Good evening.
See you later. Cheers.